JJ Redick is polished on any medium, whether it's on First Take, in the booth, or behind a podcast microphone. And he does all three. He's so good, in fact, that I don't want to see him go full-take artist. You never go full-take artist. It's difficult for athletes and even sports media not to be competitive. Figuring out who won, even when it's not a race, is ingrained in people who are or cover winners or losers throughout their careers. And you can see it. One of Redick's best qualities as a basketball player was his drive. The guy played in the NBA for 15 years, was a lot better than his detractors had hoped, and appears to be equally motivated as a talking head. Today's video will be about JJ Redick's hot takes. The former NBA sharpshooter and legendary college basketball player for Duke eviscerated NBA champion Kendrick Perkins for his take on MVP voting. Redick appeared on ESPN's First Take and strongly pushed back on Perkins' opinion that there's racial bias in the MVP voting. Perkins made the claim a while back when discussing Nikola Jokic's candidacy as the Denver Nuggets superstar continues to make a case for his third straight MVP award. The former NBA veteran took apart Perkins' take in a fiery moment.
Stephen A., I mean no offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that.
Redick appeared to let bygones be bygones and let cooler heads prevail while Perkins persisted with dumb takes. JJ continues to make his points, and he calls Stephen A. out for not being fair to LeBron James. Stephen A. Smith said that LeBron James not making it to the NBA Finals would be a stain on his career, something JJ Redick has a solid rebuttal to.
You said the word stain, a stain on his career to some degree. Was Michael Jordan going 37 and 45 two straight seasons with the Wizards? Do we look back on that as some sort of stain on his career?
Whoa.
Do we?
JJ Redick asked Stephen A. Smith. He went on to point out that Stephen A. Smith keeps shifting the goalposts when it comes to LeBron James. He said,
So, look, I get what you're saying. I don't think it's a stain. I think we keep moving the goalposts, and you do it more than anybody else in terms of LeBron's career.
That's not true.
Yes, you
That's
do.
not true.
JJ Redick had a serious point in this conversation. It does seem like LeBron James is often expected to do things no one else has ever done and be perfect at the same time. The questions asked of him are as intense or even more so than that of any great that went before him. And the media contributes to the narratives, meaning JJ Redick had a valid point when questioning Stephen A. Smith. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, despite their majestic performances in Brooklyn, have had to face the wrath of the media and analysts alike. The reason being, the franchise's poor start to the season. The inconsistencies in Brooklyn go far beyond this season. Matter of fact, a compelling argument could be made stating that the turmoil for the Nets ensued when the pair first donned the franchise's colors, at least according to JJ Redick. Irving and Kevin Durant had played a pivotal role in dismantling the Brooklyn Nets culture. In an episode of First Take, Redick stated,
The reason that the Brooklyn Nets were so attractive to Kevin Durant and to Kyrie Irving was because of that culture and because of that young depth. Jared Allen, another example of that. And they have spent the last 3 seasons helping to dismantle that culture, helping to dismantle that depth.
There is quite some truth to what the sharpshooter is trying to convey. The team's disposal of the young core for an out-of-shape James Harden resulted in no success for the franchise, who shortly after got rid of the former MVP as well. In fact, Durant's request for a trade when the going got tough this past postseason, and Irving's uncertainty over the past year regarding his vaccination stance is a testament to that. The statement above is not meant to discredit their hegemony in the field, but merely to point out just how the duo viewed themselves in contrast to their team. JJ Redick knows basketball. He's played it at a high level for years, including 15 seasons in the NBA. But he seemingly just has no clue about basketball in the 1980s. Redick and Chris Mad Dog Russo compared Larry Bird's numbers to Stephen Curry's during an episode of First Take. Russo explained the game was completely different when Bird played, and brought up the physicality of his era. Redick shrugged off the physicality part, implying Curry gets banged around more than Bird ever did. Larry Bird might be a top 5 player in NBA history. He's certainly top 10. While Redick admitted to Russo that Bird was one of the greatest shooters ever, he said there is no way he can ever be considered one of the best three-point shooters.
There's plenty of people that have shot more, and guess what? Made more at a higher percentage than Larry Bird from three. I'm not saying Larry Bird is not one of the greatest shooters ever. He's not one of the greatest three-point shooters ever.
Bird doesn't have the three-point numbers because that wasn't part of his game. It wasn't part of the NBA game back then. During the 1985-86 season, Bird led the league with 82 made three-pointers. He hit 82 of 194 shots from behind the arc, a 42.3% clip. During the 2015-16 season, Curry took 886 three-pointers, making 402. In the 80s, there were post-up centers, with most teams looking to get the ball inside. Today, the game is a barrage of three-pointers. Where Redick really lost knowledge points was saying Curry gets beat up more than Bird ever did.
Right.
When I watch Steph Curry off the ball in a playoff game,
Oh, he's great.
getting grabbed and held by Marcus Smart, they're attached to him at all times.
Right.
Then when I watch Larry Bird come off a pin down and no one's within 5 feet of him and they're...
To think today's NBA is more physical than the 1980s is flat out ludicrous. The conversation around Chris Paul's legacy amongst the all-time greats, where Redick and Stephen A. Smith placed in as a top 5 point guard of all time, but not Russo. Not so much. Seeing the original players of the early NBA as much more impactful on the sport of basketball.
When you put him on the level of the all-time greats, you can't have these kind of games.
Is he an all-time great, JJ?
You can't put him
He's
on
absolutely
the
an
all-time
all-time
point guard.
He's an all-time great point guard.
Without
if
question.
he wins a championship, he's in the conversation for the greatest point guard ever. I'm not saying he's
Oh,
the
no,
great...
he's not. The greatest point guard. He's not Bob Cousy. He's not Bob Cousy.
Bob Cousy couldn't dribble with his left hand.
Bob Cousy
Cousy
changed
won
the game.
championships when there were 8 teams in the
Guys.
NBA and you had to win 2 playoff series.
Guys, hold on.
Let's celebrate Bob Cousy in his era, but you can't compare pre-1980 with
yes, you can.
with the modern
Yes, you
NBA.
can.
No, you cannot.
The Cousy roast continued as Russo tried to defend the Celtics' great by mentioning his first-team All-NBA status, to which Redick had an answer for that too.
First team All-NBA?
Did Bob Cousy ever shoot over 40% from the field in
Well,
his
we
career?
understand that.
Did
You're
he
right.
overshoot? Did he ever shoot
probably
over
not.
40%?
Probably 39, 40%. Different kind
Not
of game.
once.
It's
Not
fair.
once.
That's fair. You also had 29 assists in an NBA game.
Oh, well, you know, he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen.
The conversation carried on for another minute before Molly Q was able to reel them back in, but one thing is for certain. The former Duke Blue Devil owned a veteran talk show host on daytime television as Redick had an answer for every one of Russo's comments. The best part of the whole clip, Stephen A. Smith was shut out of his own as he tried effortlessly to get a word in, but couldn't because Redick had the conversation all to himself. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content. Thanks for watching.